What's up, Juventini? Alberto here. This is the AJC, your channel dedicated to Juventus. If you love Juve, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button right now. I got you covered with the news to May 17th, and to nobody's surprise, it is all about Juventus and Massimiliano Allegri and this break that is supposed to go down. But make no mistake about it, this situation is an absolute mess, okay? And I'm not going to lie to you, this video is very difficult to make because there are so many layers to it. But what we're going to start with is bullet points and the details, and then I'm going to sprinkle in my thoughts overall on the entire situation. But it begins yesterday with Massimiliano Allegri, getting fined 5,000 euros and banned 2 matches. We don't have clarity if it is Coppa Italia or the rounds in Serie A. We only have 2 more rounds remaining, but we actually believe it's these 2 remaining rounds of matches as well. Now, it was expected that he was going to get announced from the club that it was done and over with Allegri. Then we found out there would be no announcement yesterday. The announcement would come today. Well, since then, Allegri, he has arrived at Continassa. He may or may not have conducted the training session. We believe he did, but nobody is really stating anything. The only statement we got is from Romeo Agresti stating that the feeling at Continassa today is very much that this is the end of Allegri and his staff. So I would expect that that's from watching the training session and whatnot. But of course, we have to wait and see. The only finalized details coming out of today are that Guido Vaciago and Allegri put out a joint statement that they have resolved everything between the two of them. All right. So now media speculation on this relationship breakdown between Juventus and Allegri has a lot of layers to it. And it begins with last season. Last season, when the board was dismantled, Allegri was given a little bit more responsibility from Elkan. He wanted Mana to remain as sporting director. Obviously, you know what ended up happening, that Giuntoli was then brought in, okay? And from there, then you have a summer. You have a summer that before Giuntoli even arrived, Juventus was holding job interviews for the head coaching role. This was covered very, very well. He couldn't have been a big time surprise this season that he's in a hot seat, okay? But they did hold interviews. It came down to apparently the financials. It came down to the financials on why Juventus kept him. And this is important. I'll tell you why later, okay? But that's why. Then you get to the season, okay? The season actually went well in the first half. Everybody seemed happy. Everything was going well. Second half, not so much. And then you start to hear the rumors about Allegri wanting Bonaventura and Pereira in the Mercato, Giuntoli bringing in Alcaraz and Giallo. Then furthermore, you have the fact that Allegri is upset hearing about a new coach coming in through media and nothing coming from management. Apparently, he's been given the cold shoulder for 2 to 3 months. All right. And then also, last not least, to add to everything, Allegri in an interview apparently has said he has become the scapegoat. I want to see who will be the next one next season. All right, so this thing is an absolute mess. As far as the bullet points that have all come out here, I'm going to kind of address all of this, okay? Just with my overall thoughts. Dating back to last season, when you bring in Scanavino and Ferraro, who I believe are temps, they do need to speak on behalf of the club. Somebody needs to speak on behalf of the club with what happened last season. It didn't need to be Max, the face of it all. Giving him new responsibilities because some of the guys that have left is fine, but being the face of that was not fair. So I do sympathize with him for that. However, the club has full authority to bring in a sporting director should they choose in choosing Giuntoli. The fact that they had job interviews for the coaching role shows that there was doubt there. In terms of whether we believe, did they in fact make the decision based on financials or not? Well, I think Arriva Bene while he was there, because the coaching position was largely being looked at even while they were still around, he said, who is going to pay? Who is going to pay for that change? So, yeah, I do kind of believe they made the decision based on financials, which for me is wrong. It's wrong. We have already taken so much in bonds from Exor and whatnot. just get the job done at all costs, because you kept a guy around while you seemingly don't have full trust or full belief. And that is a broken relationship in its own right there if you're solely picking him for financial reasons. That was not right from Juventus, and that dates back to this summer. Yes, they would have looked brutal because they made him the face and he had to deal with all that nonsense last year, and it would have seemed harsh to sack him. But if you don't have faith, you don't have trust, you just have to pull the trigger. And you have to do that. But again, they shouldn't have made him be the face throughout that entire scenario. So that's where management kind of takes a blunder for me. Okay. Furthermore, in terms of the Mercato, look, we were playing much differently. We were getting the job done in the first half of the season. If we are blaming the Mercato for a winter Mercato where not much is expected, I'm not buying it. Okay? And we did go after Samardzic. Okay? The fact that we didn't land Bonaventura, Pereira, it said, well, Pereira was playing more than Samardzic, who we went after. And they were trying to fight relegation. Fiorentina at the time was still trying to get into a European place and was in the thick of it at that time. Bonaventura was their best playing midfielder at that time. It doesn't make sense. That's not adding up. And if he's going to get upset about that, well, he's got to man up and just keep going. As far as the cold shoulder from management and everything, well, this is where it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario from management, okay? There's still objectives to play for. Do you let him know that, hey, we're going a different route? Or do you just wait? Because management and the club, okay, he doesn't need reassurance. Just the same we've been talking about these players that want to know what their status is and whatnot. Hey, go out, do your job. We will talk about it when it comes time to review performances, which the club schedules and has full right and authority to schedule those reviews whenever they want. So for me, overall, I think this was always an inevitability, this blow up and this breakdown and this mess between Allegri and Juventus, because I think Allegri has a big chip on his shoulder and feels hard done by from what went down last season. That's my honest feeling. The most unfortunate thing out of all this is it's on the backside of a Coppa Italia victory that has been marred by this nonsense. But make no mistake about it, for me, his actions with the officials, all that, yeah, take the fines, take the match. I have no problem with that. When you disrespect other members of the club, especially guys that hold the power to your job position, you know exactly what you're doing and what the repercussions could be. When you utter threats to media, when you're smashing property, that is not a good look, and there has to be repercussions for those actions. All right? Period. He did what he did knowing what those repercussions could be. The fact that we still have silence, the fact that it's gone on like this and silence is deafening from Juventus tells me the one thing out of this whole scenario and this whole mess. We need that one leader, okay? It has to be above Calvo, above Giuntoli, above Scanavino and Ferraro, who are temps and they're financial guys. They can have a role with the finances. We need a leader. And Elkan is spread out way too much with his corporate umbrella, and Juventus being such a small piece. He is not the guy. Who is the guy? I don't know, but we need him because we need somebody that's going to start making the decisions properly with more focus put on football and on the pitch, which actually matters, and not just making decisions solely on the pocketbook, okay? But we need somebody to start steering the ship in the right goddamn direction. This is an absolute mess. Make no mistakes about it. I see all sides of it, and there are so many layers that you can completely rip this thing to shreds and side with management on one end and Allegri on the other. And I completely understand it. As far as moving forward, Giuntoli, there are going to be close eyes on Giuntoli. And to be honest, rightfully so, because we don't know 100% of how this all went down. But my gut tells me this was an inevitability. And even if management told Max their plans, it still was going to get ugly and still was going to get messy That's what my gut tells me. What does your gut tell you? Let me know in the comments. The little tidbits on the backside of all this news is Motta being confirmed by more sources to be joining Juventus. Chiesa, his will is to remain with Juventus. Look for that extension to get done on the one-year bridge. And Rugani, his extension should get done. And now that the Coppa Italia is done, all our objectives are met. The next 2 games don't matter. We will see. Magnanelli apparently could come in as an interim or even Montero. But that's your news break. And man, have fun sorting through that mess that's running through your mind right now with so much to break down. But hit me in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this whole Juventus Allegri mess, okay? But one thing's for sure. It is a fitting end to Allegri 2.0, which has been an absolute mess. But I still, no matter what, whether I agree or not with how it all went down from all parties involved, I still have a ton of respect for Massimiliano Allegri. He is one of our best coaches ever, and I congratulate him on his record 5th Coppa Italia as a manager and bringing us our record 15th, okay? And yes, many fans feel it'd be brutal for the club to let him go now on the backside of that Coppa Italia victory, but to be honest, I see no other way. At some point in time, this team has to have a spine, has to set standards. We didn't with Pogba, we didn't with Fagioli, and now we're not doing it again. That's why I need an actual leader, somebody that's going to make some damn decisions. It's a tough one out there today. We're all waiting for this apparent announcement. But that's your news break to today. You guys know the drill. Like, subscribe, share the content. Let's mix it up, everybody. And I'll be back tomorrow with another update. No matter what, fino alla fine, forza Juventus. Ciao tutti.